They said I had a special connection to the sea, that it was in my blood. My mother told me her grandmother was a selkie, a woman who could shed her seal skin to walk on land. She'd say it with a wink like a secret we shared. I'd laugh, but I believed her deep down. I felt the ocean in my bones, the pull of the tide in my soul. I wasn't just a girl who lived by the sea, I was a part of it. When I was 16, a storm came. It was the worst one in a generation. The waves were mountains of churning white, and the wind howled like 1,000 demons. My father's boat, the sea Serenity, was out on the water. I stood on the cliffside watching helpless as the boat was swallowed by a monstrous wave. The Coast Guard searched for a week, but all they found was a piece of wood with a name carved into it. My father was gone. My mother stopped winking. The light in her eyes went out, replaced by a deep, impenetrable sadness. She became a ghost in our own home, wandering from room to room with a silent, heavy grief. She stopped talking about the selkie myth, as if the sea had betrayed her, had taken the one she loved most. She sold the house by the cliff, packed up our lives, and moved us to the city, to a place where the air was thick with exhaust and the only sound was the drone of traffic. I felt like I was suffocating. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. I felt like a part of me had been ripped away. The city was a cage, a tomb. I started drawing, sketching the sea from memory. The waves, the rocks, the way the light hit the water. I drew the sea Serenity, her proud bow cutting through the waves. I drew my father's face, a laugh line around his eyes. My mother would find the drawings and rip them up, her face a mass of stone. He's gone, she'd say, her voice hollow. The sea took him. Why do you keep bringing it back? One night, a year after the storm, I found her on the floor, surrounded by old photo albums, weeping. She was holding a picture of my father, a younger version, his eyes full of light, his arm wrapped around her. I hate the sea, she whispered. I hate it for what it did. I sat beside her, silent for a long time. Then I picked up a pen and started drawing on the back of a discarded photo. I drew a woman with a seal's tail, a tear rolling down her cheek. I drew her standing on a cliff, looking out at the endless blue. She didn't take him, Mom, I said, my voice shaking. She's a part of me, she's the one who gave me to you. My mother looked at me, her eyes wide with a mix of shock and confusion. What are you talking about? The selkie, I said. She's not a monster, she's a part of our family. The sea didn't take Dad, it brought him home. I knew it was a lie, a beautiful, impossible lie, but in that moment it was the only truth that mattered. It was the only way I could make sense of the loss, the only way I could heal. I wasn't a girl who had been broken by the sea, I was a girl who had been born of it. The sea was not my enemy, it was my home. I stayed in the city, but I started a new drawing. A woman, her hair wild and free, running towards the ocean, a seal skin clutched in her hand. The title, Coming Home. The last time I saw my mother, she was at a small cafe. She saw me from across the room, and for the first time in a long time, she smiled. She had a cup of tea in her hand, and the light in her eyes was back. She looked at me, and I saw a flicker of the old woman, the one who used to tell me stories about selkies and the sea. I knew then that she had finally started to believe me. We never talked about it, we never had to. The drawing was all we needed. It was our secret, our truth, our way of healing. The sea had taken my father, but it had also given me a story to tell. A story about a girl who found her way back to the water, who found her way back to herself, who found her way back to a mother who finally understood that sometimes the most powerful truths are the ones we choose to believe.